Padgett descendants of William Marion Padgett. He's my great-grandfather, and is he your great-grandfather or your grandfather? He's my great-grandfather.
He's your great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, and her third great-grandfather.
This is Autumn's third great-grandfather.
That's right.
He preached at this church where many of our relatives lived in this county, in Pickens County, Jasper, Georgia. This is where they lived, worshiped, and many of them died here.
And his birthday,
he was born in Dawson County in the year 1844, and he died here in Pickens County in 1891 on November the 14th.
And the connection that we have, we just finished.
Yes. Asa Padgett, the young man that we told you was cited for fighting in church at Yellow Creek Baptist Church. This was his dad. He was a minister for many, many years and a wonderful father and great-grandfather. And his son, Thomas David Padgett, our grandfather, only had him for about 4 years because he died when Grandpa Tom was 4. And so Mary Malinda and Violet, Tom's little sister, moved back to Dawson County and were reared there with her relatives. But we appreciate William Marion. We appreciate Pat Kilgore for all the information that she's given to us about him.
It's amazing. And we're about to go over and show the gravesite where Reverend William, let me get the name right, Reverend William Marion Padgett is buried. We're going to show you right where he is buried with his first wife and a few of his children.
Hello, family. This is William Marion Padgett, my great-grandfather, and April's
great-great-grandfather.
This is the father of Thomas David Padgett, who is our Grandpa Tom. Tom was born here on Padgett Mountain, where Marion lived with his family. First, his wife, Susan Elizabeth Cox, and after her death, he married Mary Malinda Dilbeck. My name is Mary Malinda Padgett. I was named after the sweet lady, Mary Malinda Dilbeck, the second wife. I'll tell you more about her later. Marion was a reverend, a Baptist minister, and he taught at the church behind us. He preached here. He was a very faithful individual. He had a large family with Susan Elizabeth Cox. They lost several children. Would you tell about that, April?
They did. Reverend William Marion Padgett and Susan Elizabeth Cox were married for many years, and they had 10 children. They lost 2 tragically on a trail when they attempted to go west, and then they lost 2 more later. And then Susan lost her life after giving birth to their 10th child, which was named after her, Susan. And her grave is on the end down there. And shortly after Susan died and he was left with small children, he went and proposed to Mary Malinda Dilbeck, which Aunt Linda is named for, and brought her back over. I think they were 1 county over. I'd have to ask Pat.
They were in Dawson.
And so we got all of this information. Thank goodness for Pat Kilgore. We wouldn't have any of this information if it weren't for her research, and she's been faithfully researching for years. And but he went over and got Mary Malinda Dilbeck, and it was actually a first cousin to his first wife. So Susan and Mary Malinda their mothers were sisters. And so once he married Mary Malinda Dilbeck, they had 2 more children, which was Tom Padgett, Grandpa Tom. So Thomas David Padgett is my great-grandfather and her grandpa. And then they had another daughter named Violet Rosie, or possibly Violet Rosalie. And it's that Bible that we've been given just recently through Billy Ray Padgett, who's also a descendant. And they hand wrote all of the family records in that Bible, and we have that Bible now. We're so excited about that, to have that in our family. And so we're going to tell you a little bit more about their family. Okay, we're at Salem Baptist Church in Jasper, Georgia, and we're in the graveyard where so many of our Padgett family has been buried. This is Aunt Linda. She's going to tell us the story of William Padgett that's buried here with his first wife, Susan. And Blair, you have found some other graves?
Yes,
Isaac?
Isaac Padgett, born August 31st, 1812, died June 4th, 1881. Here's John Padgett, born May 28th, 1846, passed in July 14, 1941. And then this one right
Is that
here.
1910?
Oh, yeah, 1910, sorry. And Hannah G. Padgett, born August of 1851, died in 1920.
We have quite a few out here. Look how far back
There's
they
a
go.
whole
Look
section
at all
up
of those.
there. So these are some Padgett graves that we have found here at the Salem Baptist Church, just south of Jasper, Georgia. And these three date back to the 1800s. Here you can see this is Isaac Padgett. John Padgett. If you can't read this one as well, it says born May 28th, 1846, died July 14th, 1910. And then to the right, we see Hannah G. Padgett, born August 22nd, 1851, died March 16th, 1920. Here's the grave of George Padgett, who died in 1946. He was born in 1868, and you can see the Padgett named engraven on the top. Next to him is another grave, which hopefully no one walks over on top of. But on the reverse side of this stone is the information on Sarah Carol Padgett, born September 22nd, 1862, and died on July 4th, 1945. In a newer area of the same cemetery, we find Padgetts in this last 40 years, and even in the last few years. As you see, the wife, Janita Padgett, passed away in 2012, and then behind her are other Padgetts who died in the last 20 years. So there's still Padgett family living here. As we've seen, there are still many more Padgetts to be found in the cemetery. This large marker here of William H. Padgett and Verta M. Padgett, which you can read clearly. And then I'm assuming this is their son and possible daughter-in-law. And so far through this whole cemetery, this is the newest of the Padgetts that I've seen that have passed away here and buried at Salem Baptist Church in Jasper, Georgia.
This is our Padgett plot here. This is Uncle Enoch Elijah. And this is Reverend William Marion Padgett's gravesite, and his first wife, Susan Elizabeth Cox Padgett. Another child that they lost, James. And then their 10th child that they lost. She died shortly after baby Susan died. It was her 10th child, and she died from complications of the birth.
So this is the inside of the Salem Baptist Church, just outside of Jasper, Georgia, where April's great-great-grandfather used to preach, William Marion Padgett.
Okay, this is Paget Creek. It goes right through Salem Church Road. We don't know the history behind it, but it sure is a cute little creek. We're headed out away from Salem Church. Pretty sure it was probably named for some of our ancestors that attended church up there at the Salem Baptist Church. It's a very cute little creek.